And okay, so today we have Dr. David Friedman of Food Sanity. He's the author of Food Sanity. And today we're going to talk about the toxins in our water. And Brian, if you're playing music, I can't hear anything. But today we're going to talk about the toxicity in our water. What's in your water? And so fasten your seatbelts. We're going to learn and grow together. It's time to dance, Dr. Friedman. I want to see those moves. Oh, man, I had forgotten how good you are.
You forgot that.
Yes.
First thing in the morning.
Is that what you do in the morning? Is that your stretchies?
No, I'm a night owl. This is unusual. Just for you, Lillian. Just for you.
Oh, that's so sweet of you. My brother from another mother.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let me see. Ashley, if you can see me, I don't know if anybody can see me, but I hope that you guys can. We're on Facebook Live. Share it. Tell it with all your friends. And let me get it here. This is where I get a little distracted.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web. And when you
we'll talk to her in the break, but now we're in the air.
Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been tuning in for the last 7 years, or you just tuned in yesterday for the first time, welcome back. But if you are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show, just know that we've been waiting for you. It's no accident that you've stumbled upon the show today, because this is a safe place that you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, because right now we are live on Facebook Live, and so be able to go in there and check us out, share, like us, make sure that the show continues to grow. You're also listening to us live from your radio. I'm just so excited that the show is growing in so many different ways. So today, this has been a show that I've been wanting to do for a while, because I've been becoming more aware, and we've done other shows like this, about the toxicity that's in our water. But is all water created equal? We think that, here's my water. Is it doing what it's supposed to do? What's the best source? How do we do that? How do we create the water we want? Can we do that? So there's so many questions. There's misinformation about food, but there's also misinformation about water. And so, because I've got friends in high places, I've asked Dr. David Friedman, author of Food Sanity, to come on and talk about what he's been learning about toxicity in our water. What is it? American Express says, what's in your wallet? So today we're going to ask what's in your water, because that ultimately is going to give you more protection than anything you could do. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. David Friedman, my brother from another mother, is here to do just that. Welcome back, Dr. Friedman.
Oh, great to be here, Lillian. Great to be here.
Well, let's talk a little bit about why this topic was all of a sudden, I've been manifesting this topic, and we've had Dr. Gerald Pollack on the show, and we talked about easy water, the fourth phase of water, and how water does cause hydration in our body. But I found out that it's not what I thought it was going to be. The show turned out to be totally different. So this time you've been, you said, I want to talk about water. So what was it about water that kind of brought it to the front of your attention? Did you have an experience?
Well, I wrote Food Sanity, and you and I have discussed food, but there's something else we need, or we die. It's water. And actually, we can live longer without food than water. So you think water sanity would be more important to chat about, and then food. So we kind of do it in the reverse. And, my big thing with water is, we can talk about my personal city, but the big problem is, in general, if you look at tap water, the Environmental Working Group tested 40,000 water sources across the country. And the number they found was staggering, 267 chemicals of great concern. And this included carcinogens, chemicals linked to brain damage and endocrine disruptors. And in my city, in Wilmington, where DuPont has dumped a toxic cancer-causing chemical called Gen X in our water, people are getting sick. There's people in my town that are deathly ill, people that have died. So I went and I said, what's in my water? Like you said, what's in your wallet? What's in your water? So two things. You can go to Environmental Working Group, EWG, check your water. It's a big map. You click on your city. This is from Cape Fear Public Utility Authority in Wilmington, North Carolina, where I live. These are the chemicals that are considered above the EPA health guidelines. So these are above the limit. We'll talk about that, but they're carcinogens. L1,4-dioxane, which is a birth defects, autoimmune disease, cancer, bromate, I can't even say these, bromochlorophylmethylene. It's a mouthful, right? It shouldn't be a mouthful, but it shouldn't be a mouthful here. And the list goes on. Chloroform. Chromium hexavalent, which you might recognize is called chromium-6. You remember that? That was in the Aaron Brockovich exposure in California in the 90s. Well, the Environmental Working Group found over 200 million homes in all 50 states with that chemical. That's cancer causing. You thought, oh, the movie's on, it's nowhere to be found. Folks, it's everywhere to be found. It's in my water, it's in your water probably. I went a step further, Lillian. I went and I said, let me get my actual tap water tested. So I had somebody come out, test my tap water. This is the results of my tap water right here, just a few feet from me. And it's astounding. Gen X, PFOAs, those called perfluoric octanoic acid. That's an awful chemical. I can read the it's just, the list goes on. Naphthalene, which is a cancerous. And here's what's funny, Lillian. They say, well, some of these are below the level that's allowed.
Oh, come on.
Let's talk about this level. Okay. You and I are health advocates. We probably, at least I do, excuse me, 8 to 10 glasses a day, right? Don't we at least do that?
Yes.
We're healthy people. The average person, though, only drinks 2 to 3 glasses of water a day. So let's assume my next door neighbor who's drinking this 2 glasses, 3 glasses a day, and me right next door, same waters, drinking 8 to 10 a day.
Yeah.
Do you really think that there's a limit that they can say, well, it's okay for both of us?
Absolutely.
That makes sense. What if there's a child next door that's drinking water and someone who's a 300-pound man that's his father drinking?
Right.
So where do they get this? Oh, these are within limits.
Okay. So we're going to continue this conversation because he's on a roll. We're going to be talking about what's in our water and why we should be concerned or proactive. When we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com, we'll be right here waiting for you. Ha! Oh my God! There's so much. I mean, for someone who doesn't wake up in the morning, something found you up. Really? I'm like,
something you're passionate about. And again, like I said, there's people that have been sick in my town, and we're brainwashed to thinking that the city's filtering this stuff out and they're looking out for us. So I think it's a passion of mine, just because they say, hey, the water's clear, it must be okay. Correct. I don't see anything. Well, you don't see it. These chemicals are microscopic.
That is the thing. I mean, I could tell your passion. I have been wanting to have my water analyzed because I have a theory. And, what causes our water to be clear for drinking? So not too long ago, we had I think it was last year, we had a hurricane that really took us out for a while. And when they said, boil your water, now then they said the water is good to drink. And so when I poured the water into my glass, right, there was this film that kept rising. There's like this level that kept rising in the water. I even video recorded it. So if people are on Facebook Live, that they probably saw it, that video, and you could probably go onto my Facebook page. But I'm thinking, if this is clear to drink, and it was like a different color, and then eventually it would go from this like a brownish yellow color to a clear color. And so I thought, this is pretty bad. And then going to the Institute of Functional Medicine conference, going to all these other, with Dr. Pizzorno being on the show, with all these other doctors making us aware that there is problems, fluoride. And one of the things, Dr. Friedman, that I am getting into right now, because normally this conversation is not heard, but now we're being heard by the people in Facebook Live. I hope that everybody is sharing that we are on the air on Facebook Live. And so, okay, share to a page, share. I just want to share. I want to share with everybody that we are on. So when I started looking at the pineal gland and how the pineal gland, is calcifying from fluoride.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that too, but let's go back because that was really like, we've got a lot to talk about.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail. 373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow together. Today's teacher is Dr. David Friedman. He is the author of Food Sanity. But today, like we said, let's talk about water sanity. And as I mentioned before, you know, we hear American Express ask us, what's in your wallet? But most importantly is what's in your water. And so when I, introduce you to someone who's been on my show that says he's not a morning person, that was a lot to take in 2 minutes or less. So let's go back to the very beginning, because it is frightening. Everything you said, you talked about Aaron Brockovich, you talked about carcinogens, you talked about all these different things that should not be there, but that are at a lower level. And of course, you and I take more than that lower level than someone who takes maybe, a cup a day. Some people lose their ability to drink water. But for bare minimum, there's chlorine and fluoride. And I've been doing a lot of research on the pineal gland and how fluoride was used to control the people that were captive in the concentration camp, and so that made them docile. And we also know that the pineal gland has been called the seat of the soul, and so we're calcifying this pineal gland that is dumbing us up with this fluoride. But many people are saying don't drink fluoride. So how do we, you gave us a list. How do we get some of these chemicals out of our water? Let's start with that so that we can at least take a breath.
Yeah, the big thing with the filters, that's important. And there's so many different ones out there. And I always tell people, whatever option you're doing, we can talk about my favorite, but make sure it has NSF certification on it. That way that this third-party nonprofit lab has analyzed it, making sure none of these chemicals are going through. And there's also different corporations that use the NSF standards, and they include like CSA, UL, or if you see WQA on it, it's okay. It's all good. They still use those standards. So that's the big thing. But I will tell you, there's a lot of filters out there. But if you want this stuff out, if this is a concern of yours, all this stuff that shouldn't be in your water, there's only one you want to get. It's called reverse osmosis. It's the best way to go. It removes the contaminants from the water by using pressure to force water through like this membrane. And it actually removes, you name it, nitrates, pesticides, sulfates, fluoride, the chlorine, the bacteria, viruses, pharmaceuticals, which do show up in your water, and arsenic, just to name a few. And the one that I use is a 6-phase RO, reverse osmosis system, with remineralization. So if you're worried that you're losing those minerals, there's a way to put them back in. And you can find reverse osmosis with 7 phases that offers a UV light bulb. I don't recommend those. They have a lot of problems with leaking. See, what happens is the UV light heats up the water so hot, it's like coffee. It sits there all day, and that heat can actually weaken the fittings and the tubings and melt it and actually causes leak. Plus, you need electricity for that added UV addition. And electricity means what? More chance of things breaking down, more water for I don't recommend the 7 phase, but I do like the 6.
Okay.
So couple $100. It's not a lot. Couple $100. How much is chemotherapy? People say, oh, it's $200. I'm not going to buy it. Chemotherapy to get this stuff, if it gets you cancer, whole lot more than $200.
That's right. That's right. As a matter of fact, many people file bankruptcy when they realize the out-of-pocket costs of chemotherapy are too much, and chemotherapy causes cancer. So the actual drug that they treat you for is worse than the actual condition. So that's my research and where I've come to my opinion. So let's talk back, because when I introduced you and you started talking about what happened to you, I could just see, because I've been wanting to do this too. So in your analysis in your water, they're saying, oh, well, you're able to have these in these small quantities, but you drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of water. Mm-hmm. So if we don't have a reverse osmosis, can we just boil our water? Would that be the cheapest form, and then remineralize it?
Interesting question. Okay, people think, oh, I'll just heat my water. Well, the problem is Chemicals, when they're heated, they actually get more active. That's the worst thing you could do. When you heat and boil water, it's great because it's going to get rid of bacteria. That's why you heat water. That'll kill bacteria, but not chemicals. Think of that. Chemist in a lab. You ever even see the TV shows? They're heating them up to get them to work, to get them to react.
Interesting.
So heat actually can make it worse. So no, you're not going to get that from heat. Okay. These chemicals are there to stay, and they actually get worse when you heat them.
Okay, so here we are in blind faith. And as a matter of fact, I think I went to that EWG. The last time I did a show on water, I went to EWG in my area, and the results were from 2002 or 2004. And I know time has gone by, so maybe I was looking in the wrong area. I need to go back. Maybe during the break, we can all look at what our areas are at EWG. Is it ewg.org or is it ewg.com?
I think it's ewg.org, I believe. Well, that's a good one. I always just type it.
Okay, we'll check it out during the break, and then we'll report on it live when we come back on the air. So let's talk about some of the items. You were talking about chromium-6, and you have that. Why would they put any of that in the water? Where are all these chemicals? If we hear about chlorine, and we hear about fluoride in our water, where are all the other chemicals coming from?
See, it's interesting because a lot of them are coming because they're like DuPont is dumping these chemicals in the river and they're getting put into our drinking water. A lot of them are also in the manufacturing part of it. But I say this, even if, and that's a big if because it's not going to happen, even if your city made that water 100% pure and they said none of this is in there, it's clean water, it's still got to go miles underground to your faucet. It's still got to go through your pipes and your chemicals. And actually, even inside the faucet, even your shower head can have bacteria and these entities. So it's tough to really even have it clean there and think that it's still going to be clean by the time it reaches your home. So that's why you really got to take control right at the source at your home. And that's a big source as well. And do you know, even bacteria, you want to clean your shower head. Did you know that bacteria can grow in there and you sit there and you get it right in your face and eyes, you get infected? You want to clean that. People don't realize you got to replace or clean your shower head. Some people are listening. If it's been there 10, 15, 20 years, you've not touched it. That's bacteria growing in there. So take it out, clean it.
You know, the things we don't know that we discuss on the Lillian McDermott radio show. How many of us actually clean our shower head? I know I do, but I don't clean it that often. I remember seeing all the mildew that when you clean it, and what's the best way? Because I have a dechlorinator in my shower, and we had Dr. Lee Cowden. I don't know if you know who he is or if you've interviewed him. Dr. Lee Cowden says we should all take military showers because, we turn on the water, get wet, put on the soap, turn off the water, put on the soap, turn the water back on, shower ourselves, and then get out of there as quickly as possible because of the combination between the shower curtain and all these other things. Now that's entering into our body. What is your suggestion for that?
Yeah, for that you can use hydrogen peroxide is really good for that. I would use, and again, you could do. That's probably the best thing. That'll do that. But the problem is also people just turn the shower on. You want to let it run in the beginning because a lot of that stuff will be flushed out because it's sitting there. So for say every 24 hours you take a shower, for 24 hours it's actually sat there. So you don't want to go and get that right in the face. Let it go for a few minutes. Let that water flush. That's important to do as well.
Okay, so you were looking at all these different chemicals, and you're saying that it's in the water. When people flush their medications, when people drain their chemicals into their toilets, does that also end up in our drinking water?
It does end up in the drinking water, and that's why you want to do reverse osmosis because it will remove that. Birth control showing up in that. When a woman gets pregnant, she says, "Oh, I don't need these anymore." Poop, 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 right down the toilet. Expired pain medication into the toilet. That's where people tend to flush their unused medication. So that's how they end up in there. Yeah. And they do end up in small increments in our body as well. And it's just like the food we've talked about with the antibiotics in our food. People don't realize it's also in the water. Yes. And we talked about these chemicals that are in, these obesogens we talked about. They're also in water. And that's something we want to bring up is people say, hey, why can't I lose weight? I'm eating good diet, I'm eating low calorie, but if you're drinking water, water's an obesogen. It has these chemicals, these PFOAs, and it's called perfluorooctanoic acid. That's a big word, and like I said, it's a mouthful, but it doesn't belong a mouthful here. And here's interesting, Lillian, Harvard did a study and found people that were more overweight had more PFOAs in their bloodstream than thin people. So we now have proof that these chemicals are the reason we can't lose weight. It's not about your diet. It's not about lack of exercise. It's these chemicals. Because we had great diets 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and people weren't as overweight. Today we have more diets and they're overweight. Something's not working. It's these chemicals. They're called obesogens, and science shows they actually increase the number of fat cells we have. We used to think we were born with a limited amount. Now we have double, sometimes triple, because of these chemicals.
Okay, so I just want to add to what you're saying. If we are eating a whole food plant-based diet, or if we're doing things that are to promote healthy, I'm not talking about a diet to lose weight. I'm talking about a healthy diet. Then and we're still overweight, then it could be the water that's causing this because of the toxin. Now that you mentioned PFOAs, that P as in Paul, F as in Frank, OA as in apple. Okay, right. What does that mean, PFOA?
Yeah, perfluorooctanoic acid. And what that is, it's a non-stick. That's the non-stick formula that you have in your pots and pans. That's the non-stick. It's also in the grease-resistant packaging at the fast food restaurants. And people say, oh, they're worried about the hamburger being overweight. No, you're actually more likely to overweight from the wrapper around the hamburger. So that's something else. And then there's something called phthalates, which is another plasticizer. And that's in the, you know, it's so funny how people say, well, where are all these plastics coming from? Look under your sink and see your pipes. Most of them now are plastic. Ta-da, mystery solved. That's where the plastic's coming from.
Well, you know what? If we're doomed if we have copper, we're doomed if we have plastic, we're doomed if we have,
lead, yeah.
And so there's so, to me, okay, as we listen to the show, I want to put an umbrella of protection over it. I want you to know that this is not to generate fear in you so that you go run and say, oh, it's not the 3 burgers I ate today, it's the water. You know, we want to make sure that we are informed consumers, that we are informed, we make an informed choice. And so what I said is, if you are actually eating foods that are healing to your body and you are not able to release weight, it could potentially be your water. And when we look at Dr. David Friedman's list of all the things and all the chemicals that were in his water, it's kind of scary. But here's this, it's in our water too. So what do we do? How do we protect ourselves? I've already learned that fluoride calcifies our pineal gland, and that's where our intuition, and that's where our third eye is, and that's where all these things to allow us to say, well, that's not right, or this is, it's an intuition of a knowing that we're born with, that is being calcified with fluoride. But okay, so then we have chlorine, and we have chlorine that if we don't have chlorine in our water, then we have all this bacteria. How much chlorine is good to drink? And all these questions that we have that I don't know if we'll be able to get to it on the air. People have to join us on Facebook Live, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. Well, chlorine, you're right. The number one breeding ground for bacteria is water. Water's the number one breeding ground. That's where bacteria loves to grow. So you're going to have some chlorine in there, or you're going to have, if it sits, especially, let's say you go out of town and come back 3 or 4 days, that water sat there on the bottom of your pipe, it's going to have bacteria. So there is a need for that. So a lot of people, what they're doing is they're turning to bottled water. A lot of people aren't even touching tap. I think they kind of know.
And we're going to continue our conversation when we return with Dr. Friedman, worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Turn on your chat. Turn on your chat.
Oh, let me see. See what happens if I move the chat over, you're way over on the left, and then I'm talking to you like this.
Oh.
So if I bring you, so that's why I moved it to the right, so you're more in the middle. So if I go over here, so now I can see the chat, but now look, now it looks like I'm talking way to the left.
No. You don't have to look. Just make sure you can see it in your peripheral vision. So for those of you who are joining us on Facebook Live, these are the conversations that we have off the air, but sometimes we go deeper. But today, we're trying to make some adjustments. Also, I don't know if you have joined us on Facebook Live. Let me see. I've got a comment. If you are on and you want to share your thoughts, feel free to share them. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh, did you hear that? Did you share your Facebook Live?
Say again?
Did you share?
Yeah, I sure did. I did my Food Sanity group.
Awesome. Awesome. So I hope that the people from Food Sanity are listening today.
The
I'm
Food
so
Sanity
grateful.
Forum. It's called the Food
Absolutely.
Sanity Forum.
Yes. And so you can write your comments. If you want to write your comments, if you have a question for Dr. Friedman, now's the time to ask. So I have my Facebook Live here. I don't know if it's, wait, I think it's, hold on a second. Okay, now I can do this. Okay, so I want to say hello to everybody. And so you had read so many of these things. It's very scary, Dr. Friedman, to, you talked about toxicity and causing obesity. But what other symptoms can I want to talk about symptoms on the air, not now.
Right.
Because I know whatever you say I will want you to repeat. So unless somebody has some other questions out there, I am on my Facebook page at Lillian's radio show. So you can direct people there as well. So I want to talk about symptoms that we might experience other than,
that's good.
Yeah, because,
So
I've been experiencing hair fallout. And I've been, I just went to the ICIM. Are you familiar with ICIM?
What does it stand for?
Academy of Integrative
Medicine?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
It's integrative medicine, but it's Academy of comprehensive. I don't know. Comprehensive integrative medicine. And they talked about, a lot of these things, that there are a lot of other reasons. There's emotional reasons why people are holding on to their weight. There's a lot of other stuff. And so we can talk about water today, but I want to encourage people to dig deep and do some spirit searching and take out their soul shovel, as I talk about on the show, another registered service mark, soul shovel, and dig until there's only truth. Because we can blame our ancestry, or we can blame our DNA, or we can blame our water. But the reality is we can take 100% ownership of what's going on in our life. There's so many things, Dr. Friedman. I mean, you see a lot of patients, and many of them have legitimate symptoms, but how much of that do you see is an emotional component, maybe in their past trauma, or maybe handed down from the generation and through their DNA?
Yeah, it could be emotional, but interesting. A lot of these chemicals create that emotional issues. So it's like which came first. So a lot of these chemicals can actually cause depression. They have endocrine disruptors that messes up your hormones, which messes up your emotions. So it's this vicious circle. So it's definitely some emotional components. Some of them are from, the childhood. Some of them, especially when you're dealing with overeating, there could be issues there. But then again, these chemicals make you hungry. So it's like, which came first? So you're right. There is that, but what percentage? That's the question.
Yes. What's percentage? Okay.
Yes.
So it looks like was that 10 seconds back? Yes. 10 seconds. We're going to be back on the air. I'm so grateful for those of you who will be watching this Facebook Live, and other, hopefully you'll share it. Okay, you know what? I wasn't able to dance with you before, so I want to see those moves again. Okay. Oh, okay. You got. So
that's the song.
That's
I'm gonna be hooked on that song again. That song gets in my head.
At 407-373-55.
You got 20 seconds of moves.
Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. You could also watch us right now on Facebook Live. I'm really excited about that. So you can join us at 8 o'clock in the morning on Facebook Live. You can also watch and listen later on as well. And today we're talking about what's in your water. Not just what's in your wallet or what achievements you've had, but what's in your water. And this is what we talk about on the show. We talk about things that we don't know. How many of us, we think that water is just something we drink that'll cleanse our body, but could there be chemicals that are disrupting your fertility, that's disrupting your endocrine system, that's disrupting your metabolism? I don't know. And so that's the conversation that we're having today with Dr. Friedman, who's gone deeper. Instead of food sanity today, we're talking about water insanity. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. Whenyouneedafriend.com is where we continue the conversation, where you can give me feedback of some of the shows that you would like to watch in the future, or what you want to talk about as well. So there's so many different ways that we can grow together. Go to whenyouneedafriend.com, and I want you to subscribe. When you subscribe, not only do you get my 90-day challenge to self-love ebook, but then you also get the show, the audio of the show, sent to your email, whatever email you register. Your email is, the website is secure, so you don't have to worry about anyone ever stealing any information, which is just your email, which everybody has anyway. But, and then while you're there, subscribe. Also, click onto my YouTube channel, because the YouTube channel, you get the on and off the air conversations. And so subscribe there, and you'll get that sent to you as well. But also there are my social media. Right now, we're also broadcasting at 8 o'clock in the morning on Facebook Live. And so for those of you who are joining us for the first time on Facebook Live, welcome. I'm so excited for that. But if you're listening on the radio at any time during the day, just know that this is a place where you can go to take ownership of your life. If you're tired of blaming everybody and wanting to give responsibility to everybody or blaming everybody, if you turn it inside and say, okay, I am going to live my life no matter what has happened to me. I'm going to take ownership regardless of what has happened. This is where we have this conversation. And by the way, while you are there, make sure you follow me on all the different social medias. You can catch me on podcasts. There's so many different ways to stay connected. But here's the thing that I need for you to do. I need for you to go to my sponsors page, because without my sponsors, there would be no show. Check out my sponsors and support them the way that they are supporting the show. And also, you can call me at 407-373-5959. Call or text me. So today we're talking with Dr. David Friedman. You can go to drdavidfriedman.com or foodsanity.com to learn more about Dr. Friedman and some of the things that we're talking about. Today, we're not going to be giving brands. And the reason why we're not giving brands is because I've made a commitment to you that if I am going to promote a brand, I have tried it. And since I haven't, all the waters that I try, because I've gotten texts from you that you want to talk about what bottled water is good. And so a brand name, which one should we drink? Well, we're not going to do that today. Maybe we can do that some other time. But just know that when we drink plastic bottles, water from plastic bottles, Dr. Friedman, what should we expect when we drink water from plastic bottles?
Yeah, the big fallacies, people think, oh, I'll go with the bottled water because that's been purified and that's good. But bottled water is just as bad and in many cases worse than tap water. In fact, many leading brands use tap water as their source. And Dasani and Aquafina got in trouble because they were actually using the municipal water. And now they have to have it on their label. So we think that this is some great, wonderful pure water, but it's tap water, and the stringents are less than actually your city. So you won't see a lot. You can pull this stuff up on your tap water. You're not going to find that when you look at all these brands. So it's actually more stringent with tap water. So your bottled water worse. So the big problem is the plastic. You got these microplastics that you don't have as much in our tap water that you do on this plastic water. And plastics are awful. They've been linked to autoimmune disease. They've been linked to cancer. They've been linked to obesity, which we talked about.
Yes.
And these plastics can wreak havoc on your health. And the other thing they've been linked to is food intolerances. Everybody's wondering, why can't I do gluten? Why can't I do peanuts? Why? Well, you used to be able to, didn't you, 15, 20 years ago? And now all of a sudden everybody's got these food intolerances because these plastics create leaky gut. And leaky gut wreaks havoc on your colon and makes it more inflamed when you eat certain foods. So we really can't blame the food. We can actually blame the water for the food problem.
Wow. And then we cook with the water.
Cook with it
and
bathe in it.
We'll boil our rice that has arsenic. So there's so much to be fearful for, but I do not promote fear. I promote love on the show. So how do we empower ourselves to turn that ship? How do we detoxify? Let's say, for example, there's, plastic chemicals, toxins, and there's a toxic overload in my body right now. How do I detoxify some of these chemicals on a daily basis so that I can start draining? Dr. Lee Cowden this weekend had a bathtub, and he had like 20 different faucets in this bathtub, if you can just visualize this with me. And then on one side, there was the dirty water was coming out of the faucet, and the bathtub was clogged. It was covered so that the tub was filling up with all this dirty water. And then on the other side of the tub, there was some clean water. And so his analysis was, let's unplug the tub, turn off the bad water, and turn on the good water so that the toxins and the chemicals in the water will get smaller and smaller, and then you will fill that tub with water that is clean and pure. So if we were to analyze and compare our body to that tub, how do we start taking out all the toxins and increase all the good water to clear our body?
The neat thing is, the body's about 70% water. Mm-hmm. So we are water. We need it. Our brain is like 90% water. So we are really a water entity. Without it, we're nothing. Yeah. So we need to really replenish the water. And what's so good is the law of dilution. So if we actually increase good, eventually you'll pee it out, you'll sweat it out, you'll sneeze it out. When you breathe, the vapors are part of the water escaping your body. So there's ways sweating, all that gets rid of the old water. Problem is, you can do all these detox teas and detox programs, and if you're pouring more gasoline on the flame, it's doing no good. So one quick tip is, if you're doing anything with I have to go with a plastic bottle. Okay. Make sure you look, and if you see a 3 or 7 on it in the recycle bin, it has high BPA or phthalates, stay away. So
okay, say that again. A 3 or 7. Where do we find that 3 or a 7?
So you'll see the little recycle emblem. Right in the center, you'll see a number. If you see a 3 or 7, it has got these plastics in it that can link to cancer or autoimmune or food intolerance and obesity. One's called phthalates and one is called BPA, bisphenol A. So if you see a 1, 2, or 5, it doesn't have those. That's a safer bet. So that's one little thing we can play detective and look.
Yay! Thank you for that. Yes. Yeah. Now I feel like my dirty water has just turned off, and now I'm empowered to look at the label and say if it has a 1, a 2, or a 5, then I can drink out of that bottled water. But what's in the water? What's in the water?
Well, that's the thing within the water, but at least you're not having plastics. The other thing you could do is never, ever keep your water out in the car where it gets warm, because any type of heating brings those plastics right in there. And never microwave your water that's in any kind of plastic, or some of these containers that are like TV dinners that are plastics that have water-based. And what happens is, even if it's organic and pure, if you're cooking this with these plasticizers or these BPAs, it's leaching right into your food. So I recommend never any plastic in the microwave. Put it in glass or ceramic. Never plastic. Don't chance it. Don't cook it in there.
So you said that our water bottle has a 1, 2, or 5, and that's good. Do our TV dinners also have that numbering system?
TV dinners notoriously don't really go above and beyond to make sure it's not unless you're getting the organic or something, Whole Foods it might. But yes, you'll see plastics. They have to have that recycle bin, so you can look for that. Also, these beverage containers that you have, look on the bottom. Make sure you don't see the 3 or 7. If you do, toss it out. It's just not good. One other thing that people don't realize, let's say you got some fresh water, you get a nice filtering system, and you're in the shower and you're all happy and you're getting this water and say, oh, I saw Dr. Friedman. He really convinced me. Problem is, your shower curtain could have these plastics called phthalates. And when that hot water hits it, you actually breathe in, and you're actually getting it in your bloodstream. You're endocrine disrupting. It's carcinogenic probability of cancer. So simple, just get a phthalate-free shower curtain. They're cheap. Go to Amazon.com, Bed Bath & Beyond, phthalate-free. Put that up instead. But who knew? Who knew that your shower curtain can be making you sick and making you overweight? It's an obesogen.
Oh my gosh, that's unbelievable. Great. Any other tips, Dr. Friedman, that will help us empower? We have less than a minute left.
Yeah, the big thing is just be careful. Just play detective. Our great-great-grandparents didn't have to. We really, really have to start saying Big Brother's not watching us just because it's from the city. They're not watching us just because it's in a bottle of water. We have this mentality thinking that it's been checked. Big Brother's looking out for us. It's not true. Play detective. Do your own research. Go to the environmental working group. Look at your city. Look what's part of it. They also rate the best. You said, oh, which is the best? They actually rate the best bottled water. You can look and see what do they rate as the best. They've tested this for us. It's a really good organization. So check them out. And that's how you do it. You got to play detective. And you might be drinking the wrong stuff.
Yes, like Dr. Richard Horowitz said, be your own MD, be your own medical detective. And we're going to continue our conversation with Dr. David Friedman when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Oh, we got that one. We got out on time.
Perfect. Yeah, I moved it over to the right so I can see it.
Those were excellent tips, Dr. Friedman. Let's go over this again. For those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, just know that there's do you happen to have a bottle near you?
Do not.
Okay, good. Okay, so because we're not going to promote any brand today. Maybe in the future we can do that, but we're not promoting any brand. So there's it's like a recycle bin that you see, and that's where the number is?
Yep. And
awesome.
You'll see that right in the center. You'll see that number. And, and remember before we talked about, use the numbers. Like if you want to know if your fruits or vegetables are organic, you look for 9 in front of it. 9 means organic. If it's 8, it's GMO. So they're saying if it's 9, it's fine. If it's 8, it isn't great.
What about 4? I've seen 4. What's 8? I've never seen 8.
8, if you got 9, it's fine. 8 would be the GMO. And then if it's just conventional, there'll be 4 on there. That could be 50 if you don't know. In other words, you're not sure. So
9 is fine, 8 not great.
Yeah, 8 isn't great, but 9 is fine. So 9 is organic. That's what you want to look for. 8 means GMO. And if you see just the 4 numbers on there, it's conventional, could be either or, more likely.
I didn't know the 8 means GMO.
Yes.
Oh my God, look at all the wonderful things we're learning today on the
Follow the numbers
radio show. Okay, so I do want to talk about, because there's so many water treatments. There's alkaline water. There's, all these things. And when Dr. Friedman, I'm going to be honest with you. Whenever I drink alkaline water, I have some gastric issues. I'm just going to put it mildly. I've got some gastric issues. I got some of this stuff going on. But, okay, I'm going to be gross here because this is what we talk about off the air.
Yeah.
So,
alkaline's a big thing. Go ahead.
I found out that my stomach doesn't produce, or my gut doesn't produce a lot of acid. So could it be that I'm drinking this alkaline water that doesn't have a lot of acid? I'm diluting my stomach that doesn't have a lot of acid. And now what happens?
That's probably the most common question, I guess. You may want to ask that when we get back on the air, because I get more questions on the alkaline water than anything. So that's a great topic. Yeah. But, I agree. It's definitely, we have an acid stomach for a reason. It's designed to be acidic because it's supposed to digest. And when you disrupt that normal acidity called stomach acid, it says the word right in there, you're going to have some problems with digestion as well. So you're not alone.
So someone told me along the way that I should do a 1/3 cup of water and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar so that it'll help the acid in my stomach. What do you think about that?
Love it. Yeah. Great idea.
But then someone said, well, be careful because that could have a side effect. What's the side effect?
Again, you don't want to do too much of the apple cider vinegar just because it's very caustic. So you have to really dilute it quite a lot.
Yeah.
There's.
So the 1/3 or 1 tablespoon, okay?
I do a little bit less. It's really, it can get you, especially if you have some digestive, try it, see if it may work for you. But some people, it's a little bit costly. It's good to mix it with cloudy apple juice.
Okay, this is our last dance. Give me that.
I'll be right here waiting for you.
I love your 10-second routine. Then after that, what do you do on the dance floor? Okay.
I'll do the moonwalk, but you can't see, the camera's not that low. So
here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we have way too much fun. Join us on Facebook Live at 8 in the morning, and join us off the air as well as on the air, on the radio, on YouTube, on all these different forms that the show is growing. Grow with us, share, like us, follow us. Do whatever you can to bring this message of hope and truth. And what I want to I said this at the beginning, I want to put a cloak over us. But it's not a cloak so that we can become invisible. But this is a cloak of knowledge. It's a cloak of being thirsty for the truth. I'm hoping that this show, although we're talking about water, will leave you thirsty for more information. So along the way, we are sprinkling a little salt on you so that you become thirsty for more. What is in my water? That is what's important, not what's in your wallet, although that helps you decide how you spend your water or where you get your water. But today's show is really about making you aware, not to scare you. Again, we were talking again, maybe when we go off the air, we'll go on to the EWG, because when I looked at mine, I believe it was like from a long time ago, and I want it to be current. So Dr. Friedman, while we were off the air, we were talking about what's the best water. And I had shared a little bit about what alkaline water does to me.
Right.
And I'm not going to repeat it on the air. So if you want to watch the YouTube video afterwards, you can. But let's talk about alkaline water and why some people react to this water. And are there rules about drinking water?
Yeah, well, naturally, alkaline water is actually healthy, and that occurs when water passes over rocks like springs, and it picks up minerals from nature, which increases its alkaline level. However, most alkaline water on the market has been through a chemical process called electrolysis, and what this technique does, it's an ionizer to raise the pH of regular water. Electricity separates molecules in the water to make it more alkaline, and some advocates of these alkaline waters claim it cures everything from diabetes, arthritis, to cancer. None of these claims have been backed by science.
No.
Alkaline water can produce negative side effects. You mentioned one. It can lower your stomach acid, which helps kill bacteria and other pathogens. It's called stomach acid for a reason. It's supposed to be acidic. It breaks down stuff that we eat. It's not supposed to be alkaline. So too much alkalinity may also agitate that, but also the normal pH being off creates metabolic alkalosis, a condition that can produce a decline in cognitive health, so it messes your thoughts. It can also decrease the calcium absorption and affect bone health. So I'm not a big fan of it. Here's what's interesting, Lillian. The body is really amazing. We have this thing called homeostasis. It's really like a traffic director. And when man tries to mess it up, we just don't know it. For example, when you have, if you eat a lemon, lemon's very acidic. When it's in the body, it turns to alkaline.
Yeah.
The body changes it. So we really don't know this great, wonderful, innate ability for us to regulate what pH is what. The stomach has to be acidic, but there's other areas that don't. The body takes care of it if you just feed it right, you give it the proper water. It doesn't have to be this alkalinity forcing a pH. So, like you, a lot of people do have digestive issues for that reason. And that's why Alka-Seltzer is not good to take all the time, because it alkalinizes the acid, have a hard time digesting.
Oh, isn't it amazing? We are so controlled by marketing and media.
Exactly.
And so now I had asked you about the rules. I said, what are the rules about water? And I know that when you're drinking alkalized water, you can't drink water while you're eating. You can drink water like half an hour before, an hour before, and 2 hours after. But are there rules to drinking any kind of water? Should you drink water because I used to drink like almost a gallon of water while I was eating dinner.
Yeah, actually, they say if you're worried about for weight, you want to do water before you eat, because that'll actually fill you up. You will eat less. So the rule is drink a glass of water before you eat. You'll notice that it actually helps digestion. The big thing is this, Lillian, a lot of people say, oh, I eat plenty of fiber. Fiber. Fiber is useless without water. Fiber can actually make you worse because you have to have water that flushes it out. Yeah. So water is a key. So I like to drink water before I eat.
Okay. And then during our meal, we also drink water, but how much water should we drink during our meal? At all?
Again, it depends what you're eating. If you're eating a lot of fiber foods, if you're having a lot of food that has water, no, it's not really necessary. If you have a lot of vegetables, if you're eating fruit, really not that necessary. But if you're having starchy items, or especially for the people that are not you and me, but the red meat eaters, that they can't imagine, but you have to have water because you can't break it down. The body can't digest that. It's hard to chew. The number one reason people get the Heimlich maneuver is choking on a piece of red meat. So it's hard so you have to have water with that, or you risk actually choking. It doesn't digest well.
Yeah. Some people fear Russian roulette, but what about eating a steak? That might just be bad too.
Exactly.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. So then we're talking about the water. You had mentioned at the beginning of the show, and I want to go back there, that reverse osmosis is the best kind of water to drink. that goes through the purification. You said 7 phases or 6 phases. The 7th
phases.
phase, you said it's not really important because they kind of break down really easy, but 6-phase water. Now, with that in mind, let's talk about the minerals that are being depleted when it goes through the reverse osmosis. How do we get the minerals back in?
Yeah, I have a remineralization phase, which puts it right back in. But is that really necessary? My view is this: we get our minerals from food. I would rather filter this junk out that's causing cancer and get my minerals from food than lose the few minerals that are in water. Not a whole lot. The point being is people have this thing, oh, without water, with minerals, we're going to die. We get our minerals from food. That's where we primarily get our minerals. So even if you didn't get the remineralization, you're getting this stuff. I'd rather not die of cancer. This stuff doesn't belong in our water. So if it's taking out some minerals and this, that's a good risk I'm taking.
Yeah. And I was told that if we take a little bit of Himalayan salt or sea salt and put a little bit in our water, that will give us the minerals. And there's other things, supplements that we could use to put a little bit in our water. I am personally have to get into the habit of maybe adding some sea salt into my water. And I think it will hydrate us because, Dr. Friedman, there have been times where I am so thirsty and I drink so much water, but I don't feel hydrated. Are there reasons why someone might not absorb the water? What could be in the water that's causing the body to reject and say, well, you're still not satisfied. I can't drink that much water. I mean, you eventually it could have you could drink too much water. What is I'm trying to say? Is there a condition that will keep you from absorbing water?
Well, again, we're primarily water. So, if your body's thirsty, it's trying to tell you something. So it's not necessarily, you can't blame the water that says, oh, it's just nothing in there that I'm needing. Your body is possibly having too much of the white processed salt in food. You mentioned the sea salt, great for you. It's got over 80 minerals. That's great. I like black Hawaiian volcanic salt. That's my favorite. It's loaded. But these keep you from being that mineral vacant, that body's craving more minerals, that it wants more water. So so if you're going to salt your food, don't do it with the white salt. Use the sea salt or black Hawaiian volcanic salt's my favorite.
White salt, you mean table salt, the one that has
the white process.
The white processed stuff is really bad for you. But if you're going to salt anything, and going into salt, I learned that don't ever cook with salt. Only season it to taste when you're about to eat it, because the salt will cover the food, and that way it'll hack your brain into, because if you cook with salt, you'll need too much salt, and that's not good either. So it's all a balance. It's all a balance. Now we're coming to the end of the show, Dr. Friedman. Is there anything that you want to warn us? Can you warn us about things that we're doing right now that is causing toxic overload in our body?
Again, I truly feel that it's the obesogens, is these chemicals. I think people are looking at food, and you can't blame food. It's what's inside the food, what's wrapped around your food, what you're cooking your food in, and what you're storing your food in. Those are the culprits. And you know what? None of those stuff existed in our great-great-grandparents' day. I challenge you to find a picture of someone from the early 1900s or late 1800s that was overweight. It's rare. It's 3%. Look at today's photographs of the family portrait. I challenge you to find someone that's not overweight. We can't blame our genes on why we can't fit into our genes. It's not DNA. It's what our great-great-grandparents didn't put in their body and the junk we're putting in ours. We've got to play detective. We've got to go back in time and say, hey, did my great-great-parents eat this? No, I'm not eating it either.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And now we've got a little bit left on the show before the show ends, and we go totally on. Oh, well, no, it's done. So we are going to be talking about this some more on Facebook Live, and we're going to talk a little bit more specific. Dr. Friedman, thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your wisdom with us.
Always a pleasure.
You can find Dr. Friedman at drfriedman.com, and please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you. It's time that we learn the truth. This is intended to sprinkle some salt in you so that you can be thirsty for more truth. Please remember, I'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Oh man, I've been done so fast. Okay. So thank you so much for those of you who are tuning in and you're still on Facebook Live. We've got the station is gone now. It's just us chickens talking with the lead rooster here. And if you have any questions for Dr. Friedman, now I've got the Facebook Live. And so I want to thank you all for those of you who have been tuning in. And I know that you're tuning in other areas, but so I don't know if you type anything there. If it's shows or displays here. So so my question to you, Dr. Friedman, is with reverse osmosis, without talking brands, do we put that under the counter, on the top of the counter? Is this an expensive unit? So can we get inexpensive units that are just as good as the bells and whistles that are out there?
The one that I did, the Mac Daddy with everything in it, was $220. Not
No
expensive.
way.
Not expensive at all.
Oh.
Yeah, they are not. And to answer your question, under the sink is where you want this, because it's got a few filters, and then you just have somebody install it. It's not a big deal. It's actually out of the way, out of mind, and it's just under the sink, and it's working for you right there. Very
good. And so what about our shower? I had mentioned earlier that I use a dechlorinator, but is it really working? I don't see it. I don't understand,
Yeah.
I shower with it. What is your suggestion for looking for a dechlorinator or something for our shower?
Yeah, I like there's a carbon block that you can use. It's a little bit of a carbon that's called a carbon block, and that actually filters out of it. The other one thing I want to share with you is it's not such a worry that it's getting on your skin. Our skin doesn't really absorb it as much. It's your eyes. Whenever you take a shower and you open your eyes to reach for your towel, you're going to get keep your eyes shut, reach for the towel, wipe your eyes, because you have something called the punta. It's a little hole in the eye. It's a tiny little vacuum, and anything that hits it absorbs immediately. People that sneeze, you know how when you sneeze, you hold your breath? No, you're more likely to get it in the eye. Close your eyes when somebody around you sneezing. This is where we get sick. It's not inhaling it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Now I've got one more thing to worry about. Close my eyes.
Close your eyes. So when you're in the shower, don't get any of the water in your eye. That's the key. Keep your eyes shut. That's where you're going to get infected.
How do you know this?
Trial and error. And a lot of error.
Well, what's the good news, Dr. Friedman? I mean, because we've talked about what's in our chemicals. I did want for you to look at your list, and what was the biggest shock in your water that you have in your water? What was the greatest shock?
Well, the big one wasn't the Gen X, because that's the reason that people are worried about water in my town. But it was shocking that it's not just Gen X. Gen X is, I thought, oh wow, that's actually a small part of what's going on here. And this stuff that was DuPont was sued, and then they had to pull the water out of certain, and it's still showing up, and you think, well, they lost the lawsuit. Problem is these lawsuits, and this was what really was my wow moment, is it's cheaper for them to just pay that than to actually get rid of these chemicals. Wow. So it's a speeding ticket to them. They're like, oh, 300 million, 400, 500. It's a write-off. And if they hire a lawyer, it's a business expense. So it's cheaper, and sadly, for them to do it. And it's not criminal. It's just civil. So if they do it, they get a slap on the wrist. Here's your fine. So what if people died or get sick? It's not criminal. It's civil. If it was criminal, they wouldn't be doing this, because then people would be going to jail.
Well, I mean, it'll get me started with vaccinations now.
Oh yeah.
So don't get me started. But here's the thing, that we can be our own advocate. This is not about fear. This is about loving ourselves and loving those we love. Like we tell people, oh, I love you, but here's this plate of fried whatever grease full of plastic and aluminum and all this stuff. And we're loving our families with food. We're also, giving them bottled water that's been exposed to all these things. We think we're doing the right things. So when in doubt, what would you say when it comes to the toxic overload in our water? When in doubt, fill in the blank.
When in doubt, filter it out.
Oh, I am going to call Ashley right now. I'm going to tell her that's going to be my next meme.
Hey, Ryan, when in doubt, filter it out.
Okay, and filtration. And is there a cheap way, like let's say we don't have which I'm going to talk to you off the air about my next reverse osmosis, or my reverse osmosis purchase, but what can we do now before we get the reverse osmosis?
For now, again, if you're going with the bottled water, stay away from plastic. I would go with glass.
Yeah.
If you can, because that's safer. And again, like I said, look on the EWG. There's, you don't want to name brands.
Yeah,
But
let's look at EWG
yeah.
real quick, because and perhaps for those of you who are watching, go on to ewg.org, maybe. Let's check it out. So, yep, ewg.org, and it's ewg. Continue to ewg.org. Let's see.
I think they may own both of them, org and .com.
Okay, so EW Clean Eating on the Go. So that's ewg.org. Yikes, we may have been promoting some other company. How about that? I don't know. What do you have there? What's in your computer?
I didn't flip it on because I'll lose you. EW,
oh, okay, no problem.
Environmental Working Group. Let's see. Yeah, EWG. Let's see if that shows up. EWG.org.
Okay, well, maybe they promote food too.
Oh yeah, it's anything, any ingredients they promote. They look at any ingredients with food, organics, pesticide. They're the ones that came up with the top the Dirty Dozen. Remember that?
Yes. They came up with a Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15.
That's their Dirty Dozen. Yeah.
Oh, okay, so once we're there into the EWG, because I want to empower our listeners and now our viewers to go, what's the next thing to test your water or find out what's in our water?
Yeah, you can put in there, again, I don't have it open, but you can put in if you want to check for the chromium. That's a recent study. They did the chromium analysis. Okay. You can put chromium 6. I don't know if it'll work on my phone. Let's see if we got that.
So they have
it's a map. It says it's a chromium 6. If you type that in, and again, it might not come on my phone. Yeah, so you can see you've got the entire unit. See this? It'll show the entire United States.
Okay.
And you can zoom in and you can click your city and click it and you can see the levels. It's right there. You can actually just zoom in.
Wow.
Zoom into your city. It's really great.
Okay.
And you can tap it and there it is. So there's a lot. Lynn County, Iowa, chromium 6 testing. 1 out of 3 systems detected chromium 6. 16 out of 35 samples tested positive for chromium 6. It tells you the average parts per billion. And you just click. It's very thorough. So your
can you put 32920? Put 32920 and check it out.
I don't know if I can do the zip code on here. I just tapped in the city.
Okay.
What area?
Well, just type in Cape Canaveral. Cape Canaveral. I live in Cape Canaveral. So for those of you.
I got the zip code. Go ahead and tell me the zip again.
32920.
32920.
Yeah.
Search. Okay.
Let's see what we got in our water.
Is it Barefoot Bay? Where is it? City of Melbourne?
Yeah, it's well, I would think that the Cape Canaveral is probably about 45 minutes from there, but to an hour, but that's close enough, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, it's got that. 8 samples were tested. 7 of them tested positive for chromium.
There is a big thing happening in that area right now. And that's about an hour from here.
And you can see the parts per billion it lists. It's really great. It's a great resource. Tells you exactly.
What is that? So you went onto your phone. Is that an app?
Nope. Just went to ewg.org and you can just type in the chromium 6 testing and you can see, and it was like 200 million homes tested positive in 50 states. That's a lot. We got what, 320 million? That's 200 million. That's the majority.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, all good things have to come to an end, but I hope that the information that everybody has learned today will empower them to do their own research. That's ewg.org. I'm glad that we were plugging the right website.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Dr. Friedman, for coming on the show. For those of you who want to learn more about Dr. Friedman, it's drdavidfriedman.com. And if you're still listening, please share this video, like us on social media, also on YouTube. You'll watch this on YouTube as well, and help the show grow. Until next time. Thank you, Dr. David.
Thanks, Lillian. Been fun. Thanks.
Okay. Oops, let me go. Let me see. Stop. How do I do this? Stop the recording. There we go. And we'll stop the streaming now. There we go. And we'll stop